Ann Cornick from Paintnporcelain and Paintnporcelain Exchange. And today we're going to be finishing our sheep. This is what my sheep came out like. Here, let me get it in focus there for you. And I was surprised this one turned out much different than the other one did on the first fire. So for me, this was quite a learning curve. And the colors are, you're going to use a Copenhagen if you have it. Now, remember, you don't have to have these colors. If you have a dark blue and you can add a little white to it, that might make you a Copenhagen, and that would be fine. So just, think about how you can change these and make them work for you. If you have other colors at home. A rich brown, that's just the darkest brown you have. Warm brown gray, that could be the darkest brown you have with a little gray in it. This is, I like to use carnation. You can use blood red, Persian red. This is black, black is black. I used ivory last time. I don't think I'm going to need to use ivory this time. This is spruce, which is a dark green. It's the darkest green I have. And then at the bottom, I have Copenhagen gray, but it can be any gray. It doesn't have to be Copenhagen gray. But I just think sometimes it really helps to have the Copenhagen gray. Okay. So this is what it looks like right now. And this is what I'm going to start working on. I don't know if I'm going to do the sky any darker or not. It's something I had to think about. And so I will determine whether or not I need to do the sky darker. And that should help me. Okay. So I'm going to start, I think, just with the background. I'm not going to do a lot of the sky. So I'm going to start with this part here, which is the background here, and that's those are the shrubs. So let's do the shrubs a little bit, and I have to turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing. But I basically want it to go a little bit. You just want a little more hint of what's back there. There we go. And I'm using a brush that's kind of a pointer, but not exactly a pointer, and it works pretty well for me. And so that should help us. Here, I'm going to go across the top of this guy's little head, and over in here, and go across the top of his little head. And I'm just going to apply more of the dark browns in the background, just so that it looks more. If you've ever looked at trees off in the distance, they almost look like just a haze of brown. You don't really see the individual. You see more of a just a color, So, okay, I'll view up here and there. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do there, and make it look kind of a little bit hazy, I don't think I'm going to need to do much to the roofs of these, although maybe I do need to do the sky because the roof here is really doesn't show up very well. So let's take my this is my filbert, and do a little bit of the sky right around that roof, just so that we have it. Okay. I'm going to do it with Copenhagen. That's the color that I've chosen to use, and it seems to work pretty well for me. So I'm just going to take a little bit of Copenhagen, and I'm just putting it around the roof here. So it's a little darker, so that roof stands out a little. Just a little there. Okay. Take it off of the roof there. Put a little more right here. There we go. And then just smooth it into the background. So the background sky will be a little bit darker, but not much darker. I kind of like it. A lot of people said they liked it without the sky, and I thought, well, yeah, that's probably true. I'm going to put a little over here too. There we go. Okay. Now turn it around. And we're going to start working on the buildings. I think they're dark enough, but I want to put some shadows in because that's always important. So I'm going to take and mix my Copenhagen with a little bit of black and test it on my tile. And I'm just going to go like this here, and a little bit like this here, and a little bit like this right here. Okay, and then that gives us a little bit of shadow there. And then I'm going to take my very fine brush, and I'm going to put it in black. Now this is the baby teeny tiny brush. Okay, and I'm going to come down now and I'm going to put back in the little black lines that were there. This is hopefully the final fire. We put a few back here too. That's a little dark. If they're too dark, I like these stumps. I'm sorry, they're called stumps. I thought they were called stubs. And you just can use those. And then you use a little bit of sandpaper to sand off the edges to get them all nice and clean. And that works pretty well. So, okie doke. Now we're going to do the trees while we're upside down, because the trees are always done upside down for me. I'm sorry, pine trees. I should make that clear. Pine trees are always upside down for me. So I already have two colors on here. I have a light green and a medium green. Let me push it up a little so you can see it. So I'm going to be adding my darkest value of green and just doing it, get a little more there. And there we go. I'm using that same little brush. It's kind of like a pointer, but it's not. And I'm just doing like this here to give it a little depth underneath the branches. And there. And then come back this way. Keep it interrupted. You don't want it to be straight lines necessarily. But you just want it to give it some dimension. And the same thing down here. Oops, got it on the snow. I think the brown on this tree could use a little help. Hang on here. There, I'll put a little bit more there too. Using my stump, if I get too much on there. There we go. And that's my trees. So that's an easy way to do trees. Do them upside down. Alrighty. And let's see. Now the house also has a little bit of black around it. I'm going to use my fine liner again and just put a little black on my brush. And I'm just going to do this. I'm going to come down here and do this side a little thick, because that's the side that I have the more of the shading on, and a little here just to define it, and a little under here. Now this window is not dark enough, so I'm going to put a little more black in it. Look at your windows, decide which ones are not dark enough, and if they need any shading on the outside, that's fine. That one is not dark enough, that one is. Okay, and then I have a chimney up here, but I don't even know if you can tell it's there. All right, so I just put it in real quick. I'm going to pull down. It's a little harder for me to do it upside down here. There. And I might want it a little darker right here. Sorry, I might have been in your way. I'm very sorry, but there. Okay. So that's the little house done. Now again, I think some of those are a little thick. And since we didn't paint the red underneath, you can go through and just touch them up with your stump again, and it will make everything okay. This is the fence. So let's do the fence. It's a barbed wire fence. So there are these little things that come along it. And I'm using black, and I'm just, I don't want to interfere with his ear there, so I'm just avoiding that area here that didn't have any. Sometimes when you work upside down like this, it's interesting. You see things that you didn't see before that you missed. There. Oh, need a little more black. I think that's done most of the background pretty well. I want a little white right here. There was white there, and I think I got stuff over it. And I think I got a little too much of the brown up here. Okay. So now I'm going to start working on more of the foreground. Let's do the tree next. I'm going to use, again, I'm going to use my filbert. I like the filbert because it kind of goes on very sporadically. So I'm going to pull this down so you can see my tree. And I'm going to mix my warm brown, my rich brown with a tad of black. Not much black, but a little bit. And I'm just going to start coming down. I need a little more black. Coming down the side here. Coming up over here. Maybe in through here. And then up in here. Up in here, I'm going to do a little there. This is the really dark part. And then I can go back through and add some of the lighter colors. Okay, and up in here, maybe add some. There we go. There's nothing on that side that's a little odd for a tree, don't you think? Oh, let me get my liner now. Let me clean this guy up a little. Okay, and I'm going to put him in with my liner. My liner's a long liner like this, and I'm just going to mix them up and put them in. And there we go. I'm going to come down here and just give it a little texture. I tried doing this this tree with a palette knife, but it didn't want to cooperate with me. So let me get a little black up in here. And you just do it to taste. So you decide. I'm taking black now and I'm just putting it through the tree. I'm going to put a little more black up in here. You know how in that bottom of the tree you usually see a lot of darkness coming down. There we go. All right. And I don't like the way that this bends. Let me see if I can control that at all. Not really. Okay. All righty. So that's my tree. Eventually what I'd like to do is be able to put a little bit of snow on that tree, and I think that'll help it. Now, here I'm just going to take my Copenhagen blue and my liner because I want to give a little definition still to the top of this here. There we go. Just skip it across the top. You don't have to do anything too fancy. You just want a little bit of color up there. There, just a little. See? Okay. Now we're going to do our sheep. And you're only going to work on the sheep that need it, and they don't always all need it. We're going to start with the far guy over here. He's such a cutie pie that we should be able to do him without much problem. Okay, so he has, I'm going to use my fur brush. Now on this sheep, his ears need to be a little darker. And his feet need to be a little darker. But we're going to start with his head. And we're going to add a little brown. Now I'm adding the brown gray because I have it. You don't have to add that. You could add a yellow brown. But you're just, look, I'm just tapping it. There. I'm just tapping it. Okay? Softening it. Kind of going with the side of my brush. And then back here he needs a little. I'm just tapping it. And over here I think he could use a little. And across the top of his back just to give him some definition. And then I'm going to flip to the other side, oops, which shouldn't have as much on it. And I'm just going to help it all kind of come together. Now remember, he's the back sheep, not the black sheep, but the back sheep. So he really doesn't need a whole lot of color. His legs do, though. I'm looking for a brush that would be good to do his legs with. I have a number 2. I'm going to use the side of it. So I'm going to dip it in here, and I'm going to dip it in. I think I need a little bit of the warm brown gray and a little bit of the dark. So this is what I'm doing. I'm taking and dipping in a little bit of the warm brown gray on the side of my brush. See my brush? This is the brush. I turn it sideways and I do this, and then I come up here and I do this. That's how I'm doing this, is with the side of the brush, because you want him to be fluffy. And I'm just putting his legs back in because they kind of disappeared. I have a little bit of the black there that I wanted, so that's good. I'm going to go back and get a little more of that and just do this there. If you don't have a fur brush, you can use any brush and do the same thing that I just did. Just take a small brush, like a 2 or a 4, and just take it and use the side of it, and then just go along and add a little color where you think you need to add a little, see? And it works fine. I like this brush because it seems like it breaks it up a little bit more if I tap, but you don't have to have that. So there's one little sheep. And in the middle of him, I want him to have a little more light. So I'm going to take the eraser and just go, boop, this, and just pounce a little bit. Okay. So that's that sheep. Can you see him there? Bring him right up to you so you can see him. Very cute little sheep. You could even put a little tail on the end of him if you want. Okay, and then now we have this guy here. And he's a little more prominent, so in fact, he's the main character here. So we want to make sure that he's everybody can see him very well. And the top of his head, I'm going to take and do it with my brush, my wool brush again, or my fur brush. And I'm just going to do it with a little brown and a little black, and just do it up around the top. Oops, that's too dark. Do it up around the top of his head. And I only wanted brown, mainly brown, so there we go. See? Bring it down the side a little bit. This is very easy, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're trying to do a sheep, the sheep are easy. They're just a matter of giving them a face, and it depends on the type of sheep you choose, of course. And I get a little black, because in the middle here, you want a little more black. So I'm going to do a little more black there. And if you put the brown over it, you'll notice that the black kind of picks up anyway, so that's good. But I need a little black up in here because you want to separate it from his face. Here. Ah, nuts, come on. I'm afraid to put too much on, but there we go. Then I'll take some off. And then there's a little bit of a brown. Oh, it's on too dark. That's a mess. Let's just wipe this off and start over. That's when you should have been testing it on your tile. And I say do that, but I don't always do that. So, okay. It's still kind of dark. And then up and through here, we want him to have a little bit of color. And we want a little bit of color up and through here, only so that he separates himself from the barn. That's all we want. Okay, now I'm just going to take this and just pat it a little. You can even use a Q-tip. And then down here, I'm going to take a little bit of the brown, and I'm just going to do a little bit of his leg, because his leg kind of got lost. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there. I need a little color there. A little color here. And I'm going to put a little black on the base of his foot, like on his hoof. That one's kind of in the snow, so it really doesn't show. So that's that guy. I need to make his face a little darker, I think. And so I'm just going to try to give him a little more personality. Make his eye just a little bigger. That's better. And make this eye just a little bigger. That's better. And here we go. Okay, so there's my that sheep. 2 more to go. I don't know that we need to do much with this color underneath. I think that that's pretty good. I'm going to clean out my fur brush because it's got so much junk on it. And dip it in a little oil and just kind of go up in here and mess it up a little bit. There we go. I didn't want it quite so dark. Okay, and his back goes up too high, so let me take care of that right now. Okay. Alrighty, now we got this cutie pie. He's pretty easy to do. I'm just going to use my number 2 on him because actually I think my fur brush is a little too wide for him. And we're just going to take and make sure that his fur looks a little dirty. You know, they're out in the snow, so you want him to look a little dirty. So that's this. Straight down to his legs here. And like I said, just use the side of your brush. I've got it in warm brown gray and a little bit of black. Or you could use pure gray if you have gray. Okay, and I want a little black right here. So you can see that he has like legs there on either side. Oops, lost it. There. Oh, still lost it. Let me get my fur brush. Maybe that'll work better right there. I'm trying real hard not to put too much black in because there. No, that's still not working. All right, we'll go with the heavy black and see how it works. Okay, and then I'm going to do his head up in here, and that's the warm brown gray. Oops, well, that's, yeah, he's in, let me pull him up here this way a little bit more, okay? And he's in the warm brown gray. And I'm just gonna, oh, I need to add a little dark brown because otherwise it'll be the same color as the background there. Oh, it still is. Let's get a little black on here. Okay, there. That separates them out a little. And then I'll wipe it off and I'll just bring it around. He's a cute guy. He has a cute little face. And I'm gonna take a little bit of ivory mixed with warm brown gray and just do over on this side, just to give him an outline. And on this side, just to give him an outline. That's all you want. And then his feet, his hoofs, have a little black on them. I might do that more with a pointer. I mean, with this one here. There. I think his eyes are pretty good and everything, but let me just, this one has, I can see it, you probably can't. There's a little like weirdness to it, so I just fixed that, and let me fix his ears. They should be a little closer to his head. There we go. There we go. Okay, so he's done. You can also use your finger just to pat him out and get him straightened out there. And this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And I'm going to take a little bit of ivory and just do up in here. And you also have to have a color to separate them from the snow. Otherwise, you won't be able to tell them from the snow. Okay, this guy's a little lighter back here because he can be. And down his face on either side. Now they do have a section where their legs are, like here, well, like here and here, where the legs come together. They do have kind of a strange sort of, like the fur kind of hangs there. Like here, this should come down like this more, that more. And so they're darker there because they get a lot darker because of the dirt and stuff that's in the air. And on the lower side of them, they're darker just because the mud and stuff in the area. I know I didn't put mud here, but they are pretty easy to do. And then you can just tap with your finger if you need to. And he needs a little bit of a face, so let's help him with the face here. His eye got kind of... That's better. I'll give him a little more of a smile. Okay, so then it's just a matter of, do you want to darken any of the snow? And I do need to put my name on here, and I haven't done that. I don't think I need to darken any of this under them, really. I think it turned out pretty good. I might need to put a little bit of, here, let me get this. I may want to put a little bit more gray over here. I'm just using gray now, just to tie it to, just to make it a little darker, but not bad. Okay. All right, and so now I just need to put the snow on, and that's the next thing I'm going to do. So this is what I have so far. Okay, oops, wait, there we go. And I'm going to mix up, so let's get the sheep out of the way for a minute. I'm just going to mix up on my tile some base for raised gold. The base for raised gold is not raised paste. This is the equivalent of, let me take this down because we don't want it straight up and down. I mean, on an angle. It's the equivalent, you know, you can use it as a fake enamel if you want. It's nice. I like it. I use it for a lot of different things. And you mix it just with your, I use my regular mixing stuff. I don't do anything too fancy, but I don't mix it. And I have a semi-dry medium, and I just mix it. Because for this application, I'm just going to put on a little snow, but I want it to be kind of thick. So there, okay. Then I'm going to put it down. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to if I use a brush, I would take it, let me show you. This brush has a lot of stuff on it. Let me clean it off. Okay. If I use my brush, I would take it and scoop it up just like we did with the raised paste for gold. Raised paste. And if I use a stylus, I would just dip in it. I think for this, I'm going to scoop and use a brush because I want it to be on the trees and a little bit on the lamb's backs and sheep's backs and things like that. So I'm scooping. And I'm just going to paint it kind of heavily. Well, do this upside down. It works better. And I'm just putting it on so it looks like snow. I'll have to turn this right side up to see, see if my snow is working. Sorry about that. Now, I tried putting it on the roofs of the houses and things, really didn't do anything for them. You can put a little on the backs of the sheep if you want, but I don't know that that really adds anything. And it doesn't show up very well. So the other place I did it was here. I did it on the tree. And just scooped it up and put it on the tree. Oops, can you see my tree? Yeah, okay. Now, when it starts glopping up on you, just add a little more of whatever you're using for your medium. Not too much, because you want this to be thick. It will not pop off. At least mine's never popped off for me. And you just sort of trail it. Hang on here. And you may have to scoop it back up again and put it down again just to get those piles right so that you can go in and get what you need from it. See how much I've got on my brush? There, no. There, can you see it? There's a lot on there. Okay, and I'm just, and then I'll do some in here. And maybe a little around the edge here. Okay. Okay, let me turn it around and see what I've done. This is a little coarse here. There we go. This doesn't stand out much here at all, so it needs more. I'll put some on this side here. And then you can take your Q-tip if you need to adjust it a couple of places and just push it aside so that it's where you want it to be. And that's pretty much all we need to do. I still need to sign my name, but I haven't signed my name. This is what it turned out like. I think it turned out cute. Pick up those brushes, keep painting, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My Paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.